Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. I want to start off with Drew and Carly. Okay? Because on the surface level, all this scene really comes down to is Drew going over Carly's place, saying, hey, listen, if you don't get Michael to compromise and let her see her kids, then I'm going to do something to Michael. He makes this veiled threat, right? But what I find really interesting is that there's a point where Carly Smith is saying that, Willow puts herself and her needs above her children. And Drew pointed out, you're a hypocrite because you did the same thing. See, going back a little bit, Carly's like, hey, listen, we don't have a problem with Willow seeing the kids. We have a problem with you being part of that package deal. And there's a point where Drew's like, I don't understand why is he being so petty and making it a condition where I'm not, when I'm not present or a part of Willow's life or whatever in order for her to see her kids. And I'm kind of just like, really? Was you not there at that trial hearing? Because everyone was there. You were there. What was you doing? Like, did you not listen to anything that the fucking judge said? So for him to sit there and be like, well, I don't understand why is he using me as some sort of reason not to see the kids. I'm like, you're joking, right? Like, tell me you're joking. But again, this all does lead up to that moment. I mean, to that point. And Drew's like, listen, how could you sit there and say that and you're being a hypocrite? You did the same thing. Now, I know people do not like Drew, but he did make a good point as far as Carly, especially back in the day, would sit there and put her needs, her wants above her children. And as a result, her children has been on multiple occasions, including Sonny, whatever, multiple occasions, have been collateral damage to Sonny's lifestyle. Christina, Michael twice. They keep bringing up Morgan, and I'm kind of just like, Morgan wasn't a collateral damage to that because Julian was supposed to, it was Olivia Jerome that wanted Julian gone, and it was just Morgan that just happened to get in the car. So I don't understand why they keep saying, well, your casualties towards your failing as a mother was X, Y, and Z, and I'm just like, are they just are they just retconning this at this point? Because I remember coming back and I remember specifically that story, and I'm like, this didn't have anything to do with Sonny wanting to hit out on Julian. This was Olivia Jerome's doing. But with that being said, you take Morgan aside, yes, he had a point, right? So he says what he says, he leaves. Willow acts like a creep for the first 30 seconds and just staring at Sasha and Michael until she walks up and she's like, well, how the kids doing? And, Michael's like, they're okay for the most part, but, Wiley's upset, and this is on you. Because you decided to sit there and ambush me, confused him, did what you did, and as a result, you know, you did this. But of course, Willow's at a point where she's like slowly turning into no, where there's just no accountability. It's like, no, you drove me to do this, and I went to da 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 da. Right? Michael at this point, he's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. So, as punishment in a sense, because clearly you can't be trusted. He's like, I push back the hearing into October. And maybe during this time you could sit there and get your life together. Now, Willow decides to sit there and drag Sasha into this, like, hey, listen, he did this to me, he's going to do this to you. No, he won't. And again, why are you putting her in this? But there's one point she's like, well, Sasha, can't you say something? Can you sit there and stop this? Can you do anything? No, 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 no. This isn't Sasha's job to sit there and fix your broken life that you made. No, we're not doing that. No. There's a point Sasha's like, well, what do you want me to do? Essentially she didn't want to sit there and say, well, this is your fault, this is your doing, but this is your fault, this is your doing. So eventually they wound up leaving. She winds up calling Drew. Drew's like, hey, listen, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of this. And at the end, Michael's going to lose the kids. Now, what they don't know is that Sitwell paid the judge to favor Michael, right? I mean, yes, any judge in their right mind would have just made that call regardless, but because it was tampering, there's going to be most likely another custody hearing. And unless Willow decides to just further destroy her life, and then there won't be a need. I mean, yeah. But then at that point, they would just, yeah, they won't even need to be a need. Um, what else happened? Okay, so you have that happen. And, there's a point where Sasha does sit there and say, hey, listen, I want you to be a part of JJ's life. Right now, streets are hot. Okay, it's kind of dangerous. I can't sit there and be caught up in this. More importantly, Daisy can't be caught up in this. So we gotta leave town. We gotta book it. So he understands. He doesn't like it, but he understands. And he does sit there and tell Tracy later on when Tracy's like, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna get rid of Sonny." Michael's like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm about to lose my daughter, so like maybe you could sit there and save the whole twirling your mustache later on." Um, Now this meeting, right? This meeting where Sonny comes in there, he's like, "Hey, listen, I got your son, and if you want to get him back, you're gonna have to sit there and clean up this political storm, this political mess that you helped make for me. Pull funding, do what you got to do, get me back in the good graces. I don't care what you got to do, just find a way to fix it." Which even Seth was like, "Bro, you know what I'm saying? Like you lost the trust of these influential people for a long time. What exactly you want me to do?" And of course, Sonny's like, "Hey, listen, figure it out." Now, part of me was a little kind of surprised. You would think that Sitwell would be a little more angrier, but I guess it's like being angry, yelling, and everything like that is not going to do anything. So maybe that's why he decided to not just go full, you know, shit on them. Meanwhile, you got eventually Lucas. After Lucas was sitting there talking to Carly, he went down there to the church. He saw Jason, and now he's sitting there debating with Jason the ethics and the morals about um, what they're doing and how wrong it is, and just the simple fact that Marco did save Christina, and you're going to sit there and have an innocent blood man's innocent blood on your hand, and you talk about how you're the moral one, you're the noble one, and everything like that. The thing is, while he's sitting there talking, there's a huge part of Jason that knows that he's not wrong. You know, he's not wrong. Hell, he did sit there and even kind of pause Sonny against doing this for the simple fact that, hey, listen, he's innocent, and also he saved um, Christina's life. Now, again, when Sonny walks in, Sonny's like, hey, listen, um, the Charlie's fire, whatever that you started, you made your son fair game. And as long as you sit there and comply with my demands, everything will be okay. Now, Marco did have an idea to sit there and fake like he was diabetic and be like, hey, listen, I'm going to pass out, and your boss is not going to want that. So the guy, Jason was like, hey, you make sure this guy doesn't leave the room. So as he's about to go in there, Marco's ready with a chair. Samson did think, okay, well, Marco's going to sit there and save himself. So, Sonny's going to sit there and look like Boo Boo the Fool. But, no, that was not the case. He's still tied up. Um, And afterwards, Lucas runs into Sonny. He's like, "Hey, listen, if we don't let Marco go, I'm going to tell the cops everything I know." Sonny's like, "Yeah, sure. You tell them what they already probably know. You go and you do that. Good luck with that, buddy." And he walks off. And then Lucas comes and Sitwells and he's like, "Hey, listen, you need to sit there and give Sonny back whatever he says, and give Sonny whatever he wants." Because, Sitwell's like, "Hey, listen, you know Sonny. I need you to sit there and help Marco out by persuading Sonny whatever you can do." Well, Lucas is like, I can't do that. You're the one that's going to have to sit there and bend the knee. Sitwell's like, "Hey, listen, if I do anything, if I even give in to his demands, I'm going to look weak." Bro, you are literally looking at a picture of Natalia. And what was Natalia's final words? Make sure he doesn't get caught up in this nonsense. Gee. Now, Tracy and Nina called her over to sit there and have some tea. He was like, "Hey, listen, you need to use your media connections to persuade people to vote Sonny's Measure C and just get them the hell up out of there, out of Port Charles, because of Gio." And she's like, I don't know. And she's not exactly really agreeing. And then Tracy's like, "Okay, cool. Do it for our shared grandchildren, Wiley and Amelia. Do it for them. Sonny's a danger. And anyone he gets close to, someone winds up paying up the price. He's already destroyed my family. Let's not, let them destroy the kids' lives." And, at this point, she's like, "Okay, well, I can see where you're going, but, like, if you really want to sell it to me, you're going to have to give me some incentive." So she's like, "Okay, all right, listen, we try to do this the easy way. Now, she pretty much like, F it." So she's like, "Okay, listen, if you don't do this, then I'm going to tell Willow that you were sleeping with Drew behind Willow's back." And as Nina sits there and tries to explain it away, it doesn't matter. So finally, she's like, "Okay, fine, I'll do what I have to do." Um, and basically, Smith is saying maybe one of the reasons why you left the marriage was because of Sonny and the danger. I'm like, "Nina, you do have another option. And this one can make sure that Drew is nowhere near your daughter. You just simply tell the truth." Oh, do you really want to sit there and be beholden to Tracy Quartermain? No? Well, you also want to get rid of Drew out of Willow's life, right? So maybe you should tell the fucking truth. No? Okay. Yeah. So that's what she's gonna do. Harley does sit there and try to talk to Sonny when he gets back, like, "Hey, listen, um, you need to let this whole Lucas thing go. Let this whole Marco thing go." And Sonny pretty much is like, "Hey, listen, I listened to what you said. I took into consideration." And that was pretty much about it. So at this point, Carlos like, "Okay, I got my answer. You pretty much just, told me to go and F myself, essentially." Um, Nina does get a chance to run into Sasha, and Sasha's like, "Hey, listen, I'm leaving Port Charles." So they got to sit there and say their goodbyes before she heads up on out of there. Why do I feel like that's about it? I feel like that's about it. Now, I can't think of anything else, but if I missed anything, write in the comment section below. I'm not sure if I'm actually doing a live stream tonight. Um, it just depends on if I get everything else done and how I feel. If I'm just still have some energy left, we'll see. I'm thinking most likely a rest night if we're going to be honest, but um, I will definitely let y'all know in the community tab if anything changes. Right now, we're just going to sit there and say it's most likely going to be a rest night, but if anything changes, community tab, and I'll let y'all know. With that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.